Okay, we have finally reached our last haircut, which is the Pixie. The Pixie is probably one of those haircuts that most brand new hairstylists shy away from because I get it. The shorter the hair, the more you see. But if you practice and if you have a plan, that's what it is. I remember going into haircuts when I first started. I didn't have a plan. I just knew what I kind of wanted it to look like, but I didn't know how to get there. So I was just cutting hair until it started looking like I wanted it to. And I know a lot of stylists do that same thing. Hopefully this gives you a plan, an attack, a pattern to follow, and then you can personalize it depending on what you want that pixie to look like. Because pixies can be long, they could be short baby bangs. I'm going to show you one that I love to do, and I believe it used to be called the Charlotte. Tony and Guy, where it's a little bit shorter at the crown area and a little bit longer in the front, and so they can style it a little bit. So let's look at our partings first, and we're just going to concern ourselves with the back half of the head for right now. I like to start in the back and kind of get that done and then go to the front, because it seems like the sides of a pixie is really what gives people a hard time. So let's concentrate on the back of the head, and this is what our partings are going to look like. Same kind of thing as with a graduated bob. Again, that was our last video, right? If you need a little refresher on that, go watch that on the neckline, but we're going to go through it today as well. You part the hair O-bone to behind the ear and make sure your partings are balanced, equal. Put your fingers there, look in the mirror, make sure they're balanced. So we're going to cut that, so the soft neckline. Then we're going to come up and take a little bit more parting by the curve of the head. This baby doll has a big head in the back, so she needs another parting to get up there to, and these are just going to be round layers, round layers. These are going to curve to the neck, basically like a 45-degree angle. When you part up here, we're going to pull them up. This is going to be our guide, and then we're going to pull this up, and it's going to be a round layer, which means holding it out 90 degrees from where it lives. 90, 90, 90. And then we're going to part again, 90, 90, 90. And then we're going to use the top of the head to that section. That's going to be our guide. And we're going to pull it up 90, 90, 90 in a pie shape or wheel shape, right up there at the crown. First, I want to also point out that scissor size matters, especially with pixies. Little kids' cuts, pixies, men's haircuts, at least in my opinion. These are typically what I would use on my mannequin head or a regular haircut. I think they're 7 inches. These are 5.5, I believe. And I'm going to use the smaller scissors to cut, because the shorter the haircut, the smaller the scissors, because you are going to be closer to their head and you can really get in there, especially around the ears, things like that, without worrying about cutting yourself or cutting them. All right, let's start in the back. And again, we're going to do it like we did the graduated bob. This time I'm just going to take a little bit more off and going to start in the center, take a little bit on each side, pull it out, and I'm going to, this is a quick tip, pulling it straight out from where it lives, but I'm putting my fingers on their neck. So that way I get that 45-degree angle and I can see it. So my body's a little bit cockeyed. I can't cut like this, but hopefully you could see what I'm doing. I'm resting my hand on her neck. That's going to give me a steady finger position. And we are going to be cutting palm to palm, just like we did with the graduated bob. Palm to palm. These shears are not sharp at all, so you'll see them bend the hair. They're terrible. I need to get them sharpened. I'm just following that line down her back. That's our very first guide. Then I'm going to take a little bit from that section and radiate from there. I'm going to get this up out of the way. And if you have your gel on your hair, on humans, it will be a lot better. But on doll heads hair sticks straight out, so it's hard to get it to cooperate. But put a little gel on there, or heavy gel. Make sure your partings are nice and clean. I'm really trying to show you. So my body positioning is kind of bad, but I want you to see what I'm doing. And then I'm taking a little bit more, radiating off that last piece. See my guide, and I'm still putting my finger on her neck or resting my hand or knuckle on her neck. So I'm still getting that same angle. And again, these shears need sharpened so bad. This kind of shows you what dull scissors will do. It just pushes the hair, and then what happens is you have to hold them tighter to make them work properly, and it actually puts a strain on your wrist. So that's why it's really important to keep your shears nice and sharpened. So if you have a guy who comes into your shop to sharpen your shears or send your shears back to the company that you bought them, which is probably best because then the warranty on them are still good. But keep your shears sharpened, and after every time you use them, make sure you clean them, put some oil on them, just make sure they're clean. I like to dedicate a pair of scissors just for mannequin heads, because mannequin heads usually don't have real hair, and it's just a little bit more coarse, and it'll dull your shears really fast. All right, this is the last section. Again, I am seeing my guide under there, palm to palm. To check your section, you want to go through and pick it up and see if it is straight across. And boy howdy, this is not straight across. So we're just gonna cut it straight across. These stupid scissors. Typically it's palm to palm. Typically you'd be like this, okay? But my scissors just won't cut. Well, maybe they will. Nope. They're not sharp enough. On this side, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you a different way of cutting the neckline on the other side. You might enjoy this a little bit better. Neither one of them is bad. We did that on that side. This side, we are going to take all this hair up, all of it up, all of it, comb it all up, and I'm only doing it straight down. I'm only doing this side like this because I want to show you the difference. And I want to show you different techniques on one haircut. This side, bring it all straight up, straight out. My finger is the same parallel to this part line, okay? I'm holding this finger parallel to that part line, and I see my guide from this right here. So here's my guide, and I'm gonna hold my fingers up like this. I've got all this hair up in here, and I'm going to cut straight across parallel to that part line. One cut. Look at that. And then I'm going to let it down. And it's done. I mean, it's not going to be exactly the same as this. You get a little bit more control on this side. But if you want a quick way of taking that weight out of that neck area, that is the very, very quick way of doing that. We're going to also see this same process, the same technique. We're going to do it in the front to show you what it does in the front versus the same over here in the front. Two different techniques. One is you're going in vertically, radiating out, putting your fingers, knuckles. This is typically what I do because you can personalize it and get it in there really tight if you want to. But if you're just starting out and you're not sure about this, go in with this technique. Look at that. Look how easy that is. I just did one cut straight across. I got all this hair. Whatever falls, you're going to have to personalize or go in and soften up or use your razor or shorten it up. You're going to have to take care of that neckline. But that's afterwards because you want to do that at the very end because that's personalizing the haircut. Isn't that exciting? Okay, now I really do want to make sure that these are even. This one's a little bit longer. So I'm just going to go in and even that out because I want the haircut to be even. And you don't want a lot of bulk behind the ear. In a pixie, I mean, it's easy to leave that bulk in there. And you don't want that bulk. So now they're even. Now we're going to take down a little bit more hair. And this is just a basic round layers connecting the dots. That's all it's going to be. And like I said, I always like to do the back first. It just tends to make sense to me. I've got my sections down. So round layers, we all learn that in beauty school because you have to for state boards. Some states don't require it anymore, but there's still a lot of states out there that still require you to do hands-on practical cutting to get your license. Round layers. So we're just going to take this. We're going to find our guide. See our guide under there? We're going to hold it straight 90 out. That's our guide. See it? And we're going to cut it. My posture right now is awful because I'm just trying to get out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. This is not how I would stand and cut somebody's hair. All right, then we take a little bit more and we're just doing round layers. We're just holding it out 90 degrees from where it lives. And connecting the dots. If you can't see your guide, make sure you go back and get it. And I am in terrible posture. I am sorry about that, but do not stand like this. You won't have a very long career. I would probably be doing it palm to palm. Okay, like this. I would be doing it like this. See that? Palm to palm. Palm to palm. Right here, you want to make sure those, hey, they connect. Yay! Kind of hard to tell when you're not in the right posture. See that? Bringing it up. All you're doing is following the bouncing ball, the line. Follow the line. You see it in there. Do cut palm to palm. Again, my scissors just aren't sharp enough. You would be like this. Yes, I could do it. All I'm doing is pulling the hair up underneath and bringing it up so I could see the guide. And then I check over here. If it's not 100% perfect, make it perfect. Then you want to check, make sure that you're somewhat equal. Yay. We're going to take down the next section. Now, it depends on how much hair they have, and it depends on you, how well you practice this. Like, I'm going to take this whole section down to show you what this looks like. If they have a whirl, if they have some kind of pattern going on back here, you want to make sure that you're combing with the pattern of the hair and then picking the hair up and loosely, lightly, no tension cutting that hair. Because the shorter the haircut, you have probably experienced this, if they have a whirl back here and you go and you pick this hair up and you're holding it tight and you cut it, it's going to go wonk and it's going to split on you. So no tension, no tension. See how I'm using the wider teeth of my comb? No tension. I'm going to part straight down the middle, and I'm going to, see how I have so much hair here, I can't really do a 90, right? I can't cut all of that. That wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I could, and I'll show you. You can cut all this, holding it out like this, connecting the dots there, right? But you're going to have to come up and hold it up 90 up here and then cut that little guy off right there, okay? So that'll give you a 90 and a nice curve. Going out as a wagon wheel, I'm going to do the same thing because that's what I tend to do. It's just working more efficiently, I guess. But if you can't handle this much hair, take it in smaller sections. Then I'm going to bring it up again. No tension, no tension. See how it's holding? Wagon wheel. And a little tip here. This is how I do the back of my men's haircuts too. Maybe not here, but the back of my men's haircuts, the crown area, same exact. All right, holding it out, cutting straight down. And then I'm going to hold it up here, no tension. And then our last little section. Bringing this up. No tension. No tension. And we're going to do the other side. Isn't it amazing we could do all these haircuts on one doll head? Okay, little pie sections. I'm going to hold it straight out, find my guide, right? Guide. I don't know why I have hair down here, but I do. Must have forgot to cut it. And then straight 90. Wherever your 90 is, see how it's 90 up? Cut that. No tension. You just want to make sure you're not over directing the hair because you want this all to be 90. So wherever that lives for you. I have a lot of hair that I'm cutting back here, so this goes 90, no tension. 90. Nope. 90. No tension. And then to check this, I would check these two areas, make sure that they're balanced. But then I'd also go back and I would make a little section here. I always do this on every single haircut I ever do, except maybe a one length. Go here and I pull it straight up and I just make sure it's balanced. See, if you have little tiny things that you're worried about, just go in and soften them up. Really, I wouldn't do anything on here, but that's how you would do it. And so you know that your sides are equal. So the back is done. Yay. Okay, I'm going to mark my doll head. I'm going to come back, show you how we're going to section, and then we're going to cut the front. Make sure your hair is nice and moist. Find the parietal ridge. If you don't know how to find the parietal ridge, you know we have a video for that, so go watch that video. It's okay. We'll wait. Pause this one. Go watch it. No, I'm kidding. Parietal ridge. You put your comb down, and where it comes off the head, that's the parietal ridge. Everybody's different. I'm going to do this on both sides because I want to show you two different ways of cutting this area, depending on the look that you're trying to achieve, and depending on your skill and your capabilities and your confidence. Because I know when it comes to this is what holds people up. They just don't want to do this part. And this is the part that really makes the Pixie, right? Wouldn't you know, they play around with that. So we're going to start with this section first. What I like is a light, nice, soft section of a Pixie. And so what I'll do is I'll take a little bit from the back, and I want that continuation from the back. So I will part it in diagonals going this way, and I'll cut it that way. What you'll get then is a nice soft, they can wear it forward and it'll flow forward. They could push it back and it'll go back too. It just depends on how long you want it. And that's another thing. So say you've cut this short, right? Because Pixies are short, but they want a little bit of length here. So what would you do then? You would angle your fingers so the hair, if you go in like this, but you would angle it so the hair is over directed so you're conserving length. Just make it longer in the front. You can always go back after you blow dry it and personalize it with either your shears or your razor or whatever tool you want. So I'm going at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to get this up out of my way so you can see. Typically I wouldn't clip that out of the way, but I just want you to see. And I am holding it straight out. And to conserve more length, always over direct to this part of the ear. Find a point on the ear that you know and hold that back there. So that's our point, and I am going to hold it out. And if I want it tighter in there, then I would hold my fingers tighter to her ear. See that? I'm going down closer. Then I am going to take another 45-degree angle. Okay, and I'm going to bring it back to that section of the ear because I want to conserve that length. That's what I want to do on this side. I want to conserve that length. We're showing you a couple of different variations of this. These scissors. So I'm holding it back here. See what's happening there? Now my last section. I'm going to hold it back here. I'm holding my fingers at a 45 degree because it gives it a lot of softness there. And then what I do is I go through and I pick it up, and since I know that it's going to be longer in the front, that's perfectly okay, but I want to make sure everything is soft. So I'm holding it straight up and making sure that it's nice and soft there. So what this does is it gives her more length in the front. If I wanted to go right now and she wanted it up over her ears, but she still wants it long in the front like that, then that's what I would do, is I would go in and I would use her ear as a guide, and I would go in and just get her ear out of the way. Sometimes you could even put your comb in there and get her ear out of the way, so you're not going to cut her. I'm going to the top of the ear, and then I'm going to lay this down, and then I'm going to angle it to the front of the ear. See how that is? Angle, angle. Got a hair. You see that? Boy, doll heads are not very good at showing a pixie. Now it lives above her ear, around her ear. Other side, I think you'll find this a lot easier. This is what I do typically over here, and I'll do variations of it depending on how short they want it. But over here, I want to show you an easy way of doing it, because if you're just starting out on the floor, it's intimidating to do a pixie. So I want you to have the confidence to know what you're doing. Like we did in the back. Remember when we did the neckline and I was like, oh wait, let me just show you this really easy way of doing it. We're going to do the same exact thing on the front. So we're just going to take all this hair straight up 90 degrees from that part line. See that part line? And we got all the hair up in our hands, straight up. And our guide is right here. See it? We're just going to cut that off. Yep. Oh, my scissors. Look at that. Did you see that hair bend? Cutting it off. Connecting it to the back. What do you think is going to happen? Well, she looks a hot mess. Comb that down and it's nice and soft. Look at that. Okay, and you can leave it that way if you wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that. Depends on what she's after. And it'll, you know that it's going to blend with the back. Most pixies, though, this is a little bit long. So here's what I would do. So you got this in. I would hold it to the front. There's your guide that you just cut across there. Hold my fingers at like a 45-degree angle there, and I would point cut into that to make it softer and not so bulky. Point cut into that, not so bulky. And then if she wants this like the other side, up over her ear, find her ear, lay your shears right at her ear and carve it out. Use her ear as the guide. Don't cut her ear, but use her ear as the guide. Pixies have a lot of creativity to them, and you can get real creative. And if you can specialize in doing short haircuts like this, you will have a wonderful career, because a lot of people shy away from pixies. Well, a lot of people are focusing on extensions and stuff, which is fine. I mean, nothing wrong with that. It's just that I think they do extensions because it's easier to make long hair than it is to make short hair. All I'm doing here is opening and closing my shears. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Ah, Jesus. And then I'm point cutting in there, just personalizing it. She does not have the hair for a pixie cut. And that's thing. Make sure when you're consulting with your guest, make sure you're looking at their hairline because maybe they don't have the hair for a pixie. Okay, so we got our two sides in, and they're going to be crooked because we didn't do them the same. They're not too bad. Why don't we do that same that we did over there? Just do a 45-degree angle in there. That way they're somewhat the same. Okay. Here's forgiving. All right, now we're going to put our Mohawk section in. A little bit from both sides, a little bit from both sides. I'm going to show you on this side because I really want you to see this. We've got our Mohawk section. I am going to take a little bit from the back. So this is our guide in the back, right? Right there. Do we know what our guide is in the front? No, because we didn't determine that. But you can. You can determine where does she want this to lay. And if that's the case, you know where your guide is going to be. And you just need to hold it up there and figure it out. You can even cut it if you say, okay, she wants it at her nose. Cut that, hold that up, and that's going to be, you're going to connect the dots. That's not what we're doing today. Now she's going to just have one hair out of place, but that's okay. We are going to hold it straight up and then shift it forward. Straight up, shift it forward. Straight up, shift it forward. See that? See what happens? I'm going to lay this down. We'll pick this up in a minute. And then I'm going to connect the dots that way. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit more hair because I can only handle so much. Straight up, forward. Straight up, forward. Yay. This is wonderful. I love this. I love this haircut. This is called the Charlotte. It's an old haircut in the 90s for this reason. I'll find the picture of it. I have it in a book, so I'll have to take a picture of it and show you what I'm talking about. Then I'm going to take a little bit from either side, not quite to the parietal ridge. You could go all the way to the parietal ridge. In fact, I'll do that to show you what that looks like. And I'm going to over direct it, bringing all the way up to the top of the head to what we just cut, right? And we're going to do the same thing. Bring it forward. So my hands resting on the top of her head, elbows up. Let's just grab all that hair. We'll bring it up. If you don't have good tension on the hair, don't cut it, okay? Did you see me just get that piece of hair out of my way? Okay. A couple hairs right there. Hee hee hee, I love this. Okay, I'm doing the same over here. Bringing it up. And typically I would go short to long, but I'm trying to show you what this is. And then we get all this hair over here. We're bringing it all the way up to the top of her head, just like before, to the Mohawk section. Okay. Now it's still disconnected on the sides here. So what we want to do is go through, and this is where I do those angled pieces, and I hold it straight out and connect the sides. Softly, point cutting. If you want to conserve length, bring it back to the ear. If not, hold it straight out where it lives. I like to conserve length because you can always take more length off, right? Going down the middle. Bringing it back to the ear. Conserve that length. Point cutting in. Soft, soft, soft. Everything's soft. Okay, do you know the difference between a pixie, a women's haircut, and a men's haircut? I mean, they're both short haircuts, right? They're both basically cut the same. It is really the softness of the angles. So in a men's haircut, you're going to angle everything as a square. In a women's haircut, it's going to be more of a soft, round layering. Rules are broken all the time. So you can do squared off corners on a woman's haircut, and you could do round on a men's haircut. I'm just telling you that in the normal, considerations, that's what it is. Alrighty. Point cut. Round it off. Bring it back to the ear, right above the ear. That's where I like to do it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow dry this, and then after it's dry, we're going to personalize it. Maybe we don't want her bangs so long, because we don't. But let's do that dry so it doesn't shrink up. And I'll probably, part her to the side, give her some fun stuff, but really it's done now. I mean, we have a couple of different things going on, and we might want to soften the lines in here, but let's do that when it's dry. I mean, there is a couple of, I can tell, but let's do it when it's dry. So that way you can see it too. So I'm going to go ahead and blow dry her. We'll see what we get. We just got her blow dried, okay? This girl's got crazy hair. Crazy hair. But I blew it to the side a little bit. Just wanted to see what it would do. You can leave it long like that. That's kind of fun, right? It is kind of fun, and teach her how to, tuck it and do different things with her hair. Now let's say she wears her hair over on the side like that. We're going to take our shears. I'm going to personalize it a little bit. Maybe it's laying like that, but we want it to always go that direction. So you could either go in and freehand this, start at her eyebrow, freehand this, kind of give her an angle. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, go at her eyebrow, bring this all over here, and point cut it. What that'll do is it'll give you an angle, and it'll force it to go that way. Right? And then get a little paste or hairspray or something. I don't have anything on me right now, so, and teach her how that goes that direction. Hopefully you could see you get a lot more oomph in the crown area, and then it comes down longer in the front. I just love this for so many reasons, and hopefully you do too. Hopefully you get a lot out of this. Pixie cuts are one of the hardest cuts to do. And they come in all shapes and sizes. Baby bangs, long bangs, disconnected bangs, shaggier in the back, really, really tight in the back with clippers. There are so many pixie cuts out there. Make sure when you have someone in your chair and they're asking for a pixie cut, you show pictures. You get a precise, what are they looking for? How tight in the neck area? Do they want softness? Do they want it over the ear or over the ear? So find some language for that. Do they want their ear exposed? Do they want some softness around their ear? Do they want long hair or something to play with here? Or is it important for them to just get all that wiry hair up out of the way and as close to their face as possible? You need to know these things, and it's okay. I don't typically do this, but it's okay if, like, say they want it really tight around here. You can use a clipper with like a 4 guard or 5 guard, something like that, if you need to. But make sure you're not going past that parietal ridge. Make sure of that, because that will destroy the rest of the haircut. You can also use it on the neckline if you feel the need to. With a woman's pixie cut, I always try to make this really super, super soft. It's just more feminine that way. So if you are going to use clippers in the back, make sure it's a 4 or 5 or even longer, if you will. Do it on dry hair, and then make sure there's some hairs. Don't just go in with your clippers and do a hard cut. That just looks too masculine, in my opinion. I hope you got a lot out of this. Our next video, we're going to show you how to go in and texturize this haircut with texturizing shears and or a feather razor. A lot of fun. If you're getting a lot out of this haircutting series, please subscribe and like it. That way you know when our next video is coming up, and you're not going to want to miss our next series. We're going to do it all on color, the foundations of color, color theory, how to color correct, all the fun, nerdy stuff about color. If you are in a salon and your owner doesn't have an educational program set up for you to learn, make sure you're telling your salon owners about these videos. Please tell them they can use them to teach their classes. I do not care at all. In fact, I would appreciate it actually. If they're looking for something a little bit more concrete, I do have the Salon Success System that they can download for less than $100. And what it is a program on how to get brand new hairstylists behind the chair and confident doing foundational work in less than 3 months. They're going to want this program. You're going to want this program because you're going to want to get behind the chair, right? And you're wanting to set yourself up for success. And foundational haircutting is part of your success. Thank you so much. Practice your haircuts. Practice the pixie. It's really super hard to do on a doll head because doll head's hair is terrible. So grab some friends, see if you could practice your pixies on them, or have somebody who has a pixie already and kind of give it your own spin. It's okay. It's all right. Always remember that this is a process. You're going to learn something new every single day. And when you know better, you do better.